All right, let's talk about gender and careers and salary negotiations. Now, there's a lot to be said about equality. While all humans are equal, the reality is there are some gender-specific differences that we should be taking into account, because when it comes to the career world and our salary negotiations, there's some advantages as a woman that you are probably not maximizing because you're trying to do things, as we say in the negotiation world, like a guy. All right? So I want to share with you a couple of traits that really are major differences between men and women. All right? So if you see in the slide in front of you, women, we tend to come loaded with a internal locus that makes us more empathetic, more compassionate, more nurturing, intuitive. We're very much relationship oriented. We're emotionally centered. We're a little bit humble, obviously kind of depends, right? We are more inclusive. We tend to be more generous, patient, and able to multitask. Now, when you think of men and traits that come naturally ingrained with their DNA and hundreds and hundreds of years of genetic formation, men tend to be more self-centered, more competitive, more assertive, more protective, more goal-oriented, rational, or as I would like to say, logical. They have a bias towards action, and they are monotask focused. In other words, they can tend to thrive by doing one thing at a time rather than multitasking like women. Now, I know that we all share at times some of these traits, right? These are in some ways stereotypes, but really the reality is the majority of women thrive with the traits that I described. The majority of men thrive with the traits that I described for men. Why are these things important? Well, they're important in the career world and in salary negotiations because when you think of a good negotiator in this case, you think of someone who is assertive, someone who's a go-getter, someone who's uncompromising and direct, right? Now, when you're conjuring this image of who this ideal negotiator is, when you ascribe all those traits, you're probably conjuring up an image that is intrinsically masculine. And that is a bit of a problem. And this is probably why, if in the past you tried to negotiate, but your gut feeling tells you like, no, I should not go negotiate. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea, bad idea. It's because your internal locus of direction is telling you going and acting like a guy and being assertive, being uncompromising, being a go-getter is not socially as palatable as if I were to do something with those traits that come naturally to me as a female. Now, what does that mean? Is that your radar is telling you don't act like a guy or don't portray these traits that are socially accepted to come from a masculine figure. Now, don't get me wrong, society is changing. We're developing towards equality in terms of expectations of behavior, but the reality is that we're not fully there. When a woman acts assertively and uncompromisingly and just portrays these traits as we would expect of a male, the reality is she is going to come across as somewhat aggressive. Now, it doesn't mean that they won't get results. It's just that I'm saying you're not going to optimize the results you can get relative to how the outcomes would look if you were portraying all these traits that come naturally to a female. Now, what do I mean by this? So when I'm saying negotiate like a girl or like a woman, what I'm saying is use your ability to build trust. Use your empathy, your ability to be a nurturing human being, and your ability to be compassionate and very intuitive. Women, again, if we go back to that slide, we're very good at building relationships and understanding and being inclusive to where others are coming from in a way that it doesn't come naturally to guys. So what does this mean in a negotiation? It means that instead of going to your boss and saying, boss, I'm worth $150,000 and this is what you should pay me. If you go and say, hey boss, I love the work that we've been doing here. I really appreciate your strategy and your vision. You've done a really good job leading our team. This is why I feel comfortable coming to you to ask for your help. It has come to my attention that over the last couple of years, I haven't really kept track of my market value, and I would really like to work together with you to get me up to $150,000. Can we set a timeline and how I need to contribute to our bottom line so that I can actually get to that number? Do you see the difference? This comes really natural to women. And when you think of a negotiation in that context and using those tools that you already know how to use because you use them all day long with your family, your friends, your kids, and everyone around you, the sting of potentially going to negotiate completely changes because you're not negotiating with tools that you don't feel comfortable with. You're negotiating with those tools that just by virtue of being born a female, regardless of your gender, come naturally to you. And this is what we want to maximize.